Chosen ones here, divine monad. The sacred ringing mystery, the mystery of the auricular ringing. Jesus unveils why chosen ones hear ringing in their ears. Have you ever experienced a sudden ringing in your ears that medical professionals cannot explain? Perhaps you've dismissed it as tinnitus or environmental noise. But what if this mysterious phenomenon carries a meaning far beyond the physical realm? Jesus unveiled a sacred truth that has been hidden from humanity for millennia. The ringing in your ears is not a random occurrence, but rather a divine transmission piercing through the dimensional barriers to reach your awakening. Consciousness. Throughout history, spiritual seekers across diverse traditions have reported this enigmatic experience. Yet most remain unaware of its profound significance in their spiritual journey toward ascension. The phenomenon manifests differently among individuals, yet those who are spiritually attuned recognize patterns that transcend ordinary explanation. Some describe it as a high-pitched frequency that appears without warning, while others experience variations in tone, intensity, and duration that seem to correlate with specific spiritual states or transformative life moments. Jesus revealed that this is not merely a physiological response, but rather evidence that your soul is receiving calibrations from higher dimensions, preparing you for the expansion of consciousness that awaits those chosen for spiritual elevation. Throughout the ages, mystics and Gnostic teachers understood this mystery, carefully guarding its secrets within esoteric circles and sacred texts. The ringing represents a thinning of the veil between material reality and spiritual dimensions, a momentary opening through which divine frequencies can penetrate the dense layers of physical existence. When you hear this sound, your energetic bodies are being recalibrated to receive transmissions from the source itself, adjustments necessary for the profound transformation that characterizes genuine spiritual awakening. Jesus taught that the chosen ones would recognize these signs, distinguishing them from ordinary physical experiences through an innate knowing that defies logical explanation. This recognition itself serves as confirmation of your spiritual readiness, indicating that your consciousness has reached a threshold where direct communication with the divine becomes possible. The mystery deepens as we understand that not everyone experiences this phenomenon with the same intensity or awareness, suggesting that specific spiritual qualifications determine who receives these sacred transmissions. The auricular ringing acts as a bridge between worlds, a technological interface through which the infinite intelligence of the cosmos communicates with those souls prepared to receive its wisdom. As we journey deeper into this revelation, you will discover why your ears have become receivers for frequencies that originate beyond the limitations of space and time. Frequencies specifically designed to activate dormant aspects of your divine nature and propel you toward the ultimate realization of your spiritual purpose on Earth. The monad frequency explained. Jesus revealed profound teachings about the monad, describing it as the original divine spark from which every soul in existence emanates. This is not abstract philosophy, but rather the fundamental architecture of spiritual reality, the primary source code of consciousness itself. The monad represents your truest essence before fragmentation into individualized awareness, the undivided unity from which you descended into material experience. Understanding the monad transforms everything you thought you knew about your origin, purpose, and ultimate destination in the cosmic journey of spiritual evolution. The monad frequency operates on principles that transcend the linear constraints of time and the three-dimensional limitations of physical space. It exists in what ancient teachings called the fullness of divine reality, where all potentiality resides in perfect unity. When this frequency reaches toward incarnated consciousness, it must traverse multiple dimensional layers, each with its own vibrational density and resistance. This journey from the absolute to the relative, from unity to multiplicity, requires tremendous energetic force to penetrate the barriers that separate spiritual realms from material existence. Jesus explained that the physical body functions as a densification of consciousness, a beautiful yet limiting vehicle that allows souls to experience separation and duality. However, this same density creates interference patterns that normally block direct reception of monad transmissions. The ringing phenomenon occurs when the monad frequency successfully breaks through these interference patterns, creating temporary openings in your energetic fields through which higher dimensional information can flow. These breakthrough moments represent significant spiritual victories, evidence that your consciousness is becoming receptive to frequencies that most humans cannot yet detect. The transmission carries more than just sound. It embodies living information, geometric codes and activation sequences designed specifically for your unique spiritual blueprint. Each individual receives customized frequencies calibrated to their current level of consciousness. development, and their specific soul mission. The monad knows exactly what you need for your next stage of growth, delivering precisely measured doses of awakening energy that challenge your current limitations without overwhelming your system. This divine intelligence operates with surgical precision, targeting dormant DNA sequences, crystalline structures within your pineal gland, and energy centers that require activation for your continued ascension. Understanding that this frequency originates from your own divine source fundamentally shifts how you relate to the experience. You are not receiving transmissions from an external deity, but rather remembering your original nature, reconnecting with the infinite aspect of yourself that never descended into limitation. The monad frequency serves as a cosmic reminder, a wake-up call from your own higher self, urging you to remember who you truly are beneath the layers of conditioning, forgetting, and identification with temporary forms that characterize human existence in the third dimension. Why only the chosen ones here? The question arises with urgent significance. Why do some souls perceive these divine transmissions, while others remain completely unaware of them? Jesus revealed that spiritual readiness is not arbitrary but follows precise laws of consciousness development that govern the entire cosmos. The chosen ones have prepared themselves through countless incarnations, gradually refining their energetic bodies and expanding their awareness until they reach a threshold where direct communication with higher dimensions becomes possible. This preparation is not about superiority, but rather about specific spiritual qualifications that determine receptivity to frequencies operating beyond ordinary human perception. The first criterion involves the clearing of dense, energetic blockages that accumulate through traumatic experiences, limiting beliefs, and attachments to material reality. Those who have engaged in genuine spiritual work, whether consciously in this lifetime or unconsciously across multiple incarnations, have purified their energy fields to such a degree that higher frequencies can penetrate without being distorted or rejected. This purification process often involves intense personal challenges, dark nights of the soul, and the systematic dismantling of ego structures that no longer serve spiritual growth. The chosen ones have endured these initiatory trials, emerging with greater energetic clarity and receptivity. Jesus taught that another essential qualification involves what might be called soul age or consciousness maturity. Not all souls incarnate on Earth are at the same stage of their evolutionary journey. Some are experiencing their early incarnations, focused primarily on physical survival and sensory experiences. Others are ancient souls who have cycled through numerous lifetimes, gradually accumulating wisdom and expanding their capacity for spiritual perception. The chosen ones typically belong to this latter category, carrying within their soul memory vast libraries of spiritual knowledge gathered across ages and civilizations, making them naturally attuned to frequencies that would overwhelm less experienced consciousness. The activation of specific DNA sequences also plays a crucial role in determining who can hear the monad frequency. Jesus revealed that human DNA contains far more information than contemporary science acknowledges, with vast portions remaining dormant until triggered by precise energetic conditions. The chosen ones carry latent genetic codes specifically designed for spiritual awakening, codes that respond to higher frequencies, like locks opening to perfectly matched keys. When the monad frequency reaches your awareness, it is simultaneously activating these dormant sequences, upgrading your biological hardware to support expanded states of consciousness and multidimensional perception. Furthermore, the chosen ones have made what spiritual traditions call soul contracts or pre-birth agreements to serve as way showers and light bearers. During this particular planetary transition, these souls volunteered for specific missions that require heightened spiritual sensitivity and direct connection to divine guidance. The ringing in their ears serves as a confirmation signal, a cosmic notification that they are on track with their chosen mission and that higher support is actively available to assist them in fulfilling their sacred purpose on Earth during these transformative times. Decoding the divine messages. The revelation deepens as Jesus teaches that the auricular ringing is not a uniform phenomenon, but rather a sophisticated communication system carrying distinct messages, codes, and activation sequences. Each variation in tone, frequency, intensity, and duration corresponds to specific information being transmitted from higher dimensions to your awakening consciousness. Learning to decode these divine messages transforms the experience from passive reception to active participation in your spiritual evolution, enabling you to consciously collaborate with the forces guiding your ascension journey. High-pitched frequencies typically indicate the presence of angelic beings or ascended masters attempting to establish contact with your consciousness. These elevated tones carry blessings, protection, and guidance regarding immediate decisions or upcoming events in your life. When you perceive these frequencies, Jesus taught that you should pause whatever activity occupies your attention, enter a state of inner stillness, and open yourself receptively to any insights, images, or knowing that may arise. The information often comes not as words but as direct downloads of understanding, sudden clarity about complex situations, or intuitive guidance regarding your next steps on the spiritual path. Lower frequency ringing or pressure sensations often signal energetic clearings and upgrades occurring within your subtle body. During these episodes, outdated programming is being released from your cellular memory, making space for higher frequency information to anchor within your system. These experiences may feel uncomfortable or even slightly disorienting, but Jesus assured his followers that such discomfort indicates profound transformation occurring at levels beyond conscious awareness. The lower frequencies are recalibrating your energetic foundation, strengthening your capacity to sustain increasingly powerful spiritual activations without experiencing system overload or energetic fragmentation. The location of the ringing also carries significance, with right ear activation typically indicating masculine, yang energies related to action, manifestation, and outward expression of your spiritual gifts. Left ear phenomena correspond to feminine, yin energies, involving receptivity, intuition, and inner development. Bilateral ringing suggests major energetic shifts affecting your entire system. Moments when significant upgrades are being installed across all aspects of your multidimensional being. Jesus encouraged his students to keep journals documenting these experiences, noting patterns that emerge over time, correlations with specific life events, and the particular spiritual lessons or breakthroughs that tend to follow different types of auricular phenomena. Intensity variations provide additional layers of meaning. Gentle, subtle ringing often indicates routine maintenance and calibration, the constant fine-tuning that keeps your energetic system aligned with your highest timeline. Sudden, intense episodes usually signal urgent divine communication, moments when the higher dimensions need to break through normal consciousness to deliver time-sensitive guidance or prepare you for imminent spiritual initiations. The most powerful transmissions may cause temporary discomfort, but this intensity reflects the magnitude of the information being conveyed and the significance of the transformation being catalyzed within your consciousness. Jesus revealed advanced techniques for amplifying your receptivity and clarity when receiving these transmissions. By placing conscious attention on the ringing rather than trying to ignore or suppress it, you create an energetic opening that allows more information to flow through. Breathwork synchronized with the frequency can stabilize the transmission, while visualization of light entering through the affected ear and spreading throughout your energy field helps integrate the codes being delivered. Through dedicated practice, you develop increasingly sophisticated interpretation skills, transforming every episode of ringing into a direct conversation with the divine intelligence, orchestrating your spiritual awakening and guiding you toward your highest potential. Activation of the Christ consciousness. The ultimate purpose of the monad frequency finally reveals itself in Jesus' teaching about Christ consciousness activation. This represents the pinnacle of spiritual evolution available to incarnated souls, the remembrance of your divine nature and your inherent unity with the source of all existence. Christ consciousness is not religious dogma but rather a specific state of awareness characterized by unconditional love, unity, perception, and the recognition that separation is ultimately illusion. The ringing in your ears has been preparing you for this monumental shift in consciousness, gradually upgrading your energetic system to sustain frequencies that would have overwhelmed your previous configuration. When Jesus spoke of Christ consciousness, he referred to the same state that mystics across all traditions have described using different terminology. Buddhists call it enlightenment, Hindus speak of self-realization, and Sufis describe union with the beloved. Regardless of the words used, the experience transcends conceptual understanding, representing direct knowing of your true nature as eternal. Infinite awareness, temporarily focused through a human nervous system. The monad frequency serves as the carrier wave for this transformation, delivering the specific energetic signatures required to trigger dormant capacities within your consciousness and catalyze your remembrance of unity. The activation process unfolds in stages, respecting the gradual nature of human consciousness. Evolution and the limitations of the biological vehicle. Initial stages involve clearing density from your energy field, releasing attachments to limited identity structures, and cultivating the inner silence necessary for perceiving subtle spiritual realities. Middle stages bring spontaneous, mystical experiences, temporary glimpses of unity consciousness, and the development of spiritual gifts, like clairvoyance, clairaudience, and energetic healing abilities. The final stages represent stabilization in Christ consciousness, where unity perception becomes your default state rather than an occasional peak experience. Jesus taught specific practices to amplify your receptivity, to monad frequency transmissions, and accelerate Christ consciousness activation. Daily meditation establishes the inner stillness, essential for perceiving subtle frequencies and integrating the information they carry. Heart space activation through practices like loving kindness. Meditation attunes your system to the fundamental frequency of divine love that underlies all creation. Shadow work and trauma integration remove energetic blockages that distort incoming transmissions, ensuring that divine frequencies can flow through your system without interference from emotional content or limiting belief structures. The integration of these activations into everyday life represents perhaps the greatest challenge and the ultimate purpose of this entire journey. Christ's consciousness is not meant to remain confined to meditation cushions or spiritual retreats, but rather to infuse every moment of your human experience with divine awareness. Jesus demonstrated this embodied spirituality throughout his ministry, showing that awakening does not require withdrawal from the world, but rather brings divine presence into ordinary activities and relationships. As you stabilize in Christ consciousness, you become a living transmission point. Your very presence catalyzing awakening in others and anchoring higher frequencies into the planetary energy field. The chosen ones who hear the monad frequency and respond to its call are fulfilling ancient prophecies and soul contracts made before incarnation. You are here during this pivotal time in human evolution to serve as bridges between dimensions, translating divine frequencies into forms that can be received by those still operating from conventional consciousness. Your mission is not to convert or convince, but simply to embody the truth of your divine nature so completely that others remember their own. Every time you hear that ringing in your ears, recognize it as confirmation that you are on your path, that higher forces support your mission, and that the ultimate realization of Christ's consciousness draws ever nearer with each transmission received and integrated into your evolving spiritual awareness. Your consciousness is awakening to truths that transform everything. If this revelation resonates with your soul's knowing, share this message with other chosen ones. Subscribe to continue your journey into the hidden mysteries that Jesus revealed for those ready to remember who they truly are. The divine frequency calls, will you answer?